Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another video. This is a paid request for Lucas. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, movie review, re-review, random thought, stream, topic, commentary, reaction, video game playthrough, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a Cash app as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And this is for Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf from 1988. Now, this is definitely a film that is very nostalgic, much like Scooby-Doo and the Boo Brothers. Those were the two Scooby films I watched the most growing up as a kid. Because we didn't have Scooby-Doo, we didn't have the opportunity to watch them. I mean, a lot of them was before I was even born, and even the ones after I was born, unless my aunt taped them and sent it to us, that would be the only way. Probably the first one I would have been able to see, because it was on ABC, was a pup named Scooby-Doo. But the other ones, the older ones, I was able to see because my aunt sent us various VHS tapes where she taped multiple stuff on them. And Boo Brothers, as well as this one, watched a lot when I was a kid. Ghoul School, not as much. Saw that many, many years later. It's there. I don't love it, but it's there. Now, funny enough, a lot of time, for some reason in these films, Shaggy has a red shirt. And I mean, that's not a big deal. I don't mind the look, actually, but I think one of the reasons I liked this, as well as Boo Brothers, is because Scooby-Doo at that point can be very formulaic, even afterward. Not all the shows, but a lot of the shows, they followed a very samey formula. It was Fred, Velma, Daphne, Shaggy, Scooby, they're at a location. People are terrorized, something's going on, something's happening, there's a monster, they investigate. For the most part, Velma finds clues. Shaggy and Scooby get chased by the monster, inadvertently catch the monster, they pull the mask off, and then it's revealed what all happened and why it happened. They wanted these people out. Steer the people out, would have gotten away with it, wasn't for you meddling kids. And when you have a season of that, and you watch it day after day or week after week, it can be very tiresome at points because of the formula. Still enjoy the old shows, especially Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? But I remember watching some of the other ones, Scooby and Scooby and Scrappy-Doo, the Scooby-Doo show, the Scooby-Doo movies, where they had like Don Knotts or John the Winters or the Three Stooges on there, the Harlem Globetrotters. But it is they could follow formula. So when they changed it up and were different, these felt so novel. They felt so refreshing. So this, just like the Boo Brothers, there's no Velma, there's no Daphne, there's no Fred, there's Scrappy-Doo, which I can understand the annoyance people had. I never hated him. Was he needed? No. They added him years before this to try to appeal to the younger audience. Maybe it worked for a while, but nowadays you never see him anymore. He was the main villain in the live-action Scooby-Doo film, which I thought was a creative idea by James Gunn. Which, yes, he wrote those Scooby-Doo live-action films, both of them. But I never hated Scrappy-Doo. But I didn't. Do I think he was needed? No. Did I hate him? No. But it was cool that Shaggy was the lead, because Shaggy was always my favorite. I love Scooby-Doo, but Shaggy was always my favorite character. So Casey Kasem being able to get the lead, be the focal point of those two movies, at least. Because Ghoul School I don't remember a whole lot about. It was nice. It was refreshing as a fan. And that they were different plots. They were different types of stories. They were not following the formula of those old stuff. Even the Boo Brothers, he's like, oh, here's three actual ghosts. They're trying to help them, but screwing up because they're trying to be like the Three Stooges. There's the sheriff. That's the voice is actually Boss Hogg from Dukes of Hazzard. He's the voice of the sheriff, which I love because he's trying to be Jackie Gleason from Smokey and the Bandit. Try to be Buford. You have the hillbillies, you have the hillbilly girl, and the crazy gorilla, and like all this stuff, zany stuff that just made it very fast paced. Here, okay, Shaggy becoming a werewolf, which I thought was interesting. I think they could have done a lot more though with that idea. Watching back on this. And I will say, while the Boo Bros I still hold for me personally in high regard, this one I like. I don't know if I say I love it anymore, but I do like it. I do still think it's fun. It's silly. But it is seeming as if someone said, we want to take wacky races. You know, the wacky racers. But let's fit Scooby-Doo into that type of thing. But at the same time, the race is fun. I would say the race part, which is the second half of the film, is my favorite part of the movie. And it's definitely a screwy idea. But at the same time, it's refreshing and fun and different, so it doesn't feel like a tired formula like many stuff afterward would seem in the future. And again, this was refreshing about this. It was different. It's not good just because it's different, but, you know, it helps. So Shaggy and Scooby, they're racers, and what they call the funny car race. And you see what their car can do. It could drill into the ground and come up above or in front of the competitors. It could split, go around and come back together to do all these crazy things. They win. And Shaggy has a girlfriend as well, which I don't know if we've ever seen her since. So this might have been the only time he had this specific girlfriend. It makes me go, where the hell did she come from? Where the hell did she go? While that's happening in Transylvania, Dracula has his race that I forget how often it happens. I don't know if it's every year or something, where it has all the other monsters. It has the Frankenstein monster and the Bride of Frankenstein. It has the mummy. It's got witches. It's got this bug that's like a giant dragonfly. Has a creature who I'm going to call Swamp Thing. They don't call that, but to me it's Swamp Thing. That's what it is. But there's no werewolf. Because the werewolf went to Florida and went on retirement. They need another one, so apparently in the book there's some lore that every 500 or so years someone can become a new werewolf, and Shaggy's picture's in there. And so Dracula gets these two henchmen, these hunchbacked henchmen, the Hunch Bunch, these two sniveling sidekicks. One talks articulately and one slobbers all the time, as if he was a Tasmanian devil. And the one who talks articulately, I'm like, is that who I think it is? It is Rob Paulsen, who is one of the three Boo Brothers and Scooby-Doo and the Boo Brothers. And Rob Paulsen, of course, was Raphael in the 80s Ninja Turtles cartoon. And then later Donatello in the 2012 Ninja Turtles cartoon. So I don't think I realized that before, but I'm like, oh shit, that's Rob Paulsen, cool. Which, of course, I like because, you know, I'm a Ninja Turtle fan, and Raphael is my favorite. So after that, it's kind of, yeah, it drags a little bit. It's okay. It's pretty much Scooby and Shaggy, and then a little bit of Scrappy as you're hanging out, and Scooby pretty much protecting Shaggy from these two, trying to get this moonbeam to hit Shaggy, because if it hits him, he becomes a werewolf. So, for example, they're cutting through the ceiling, and Scooby saves Shaggy, but Shaggy thinks he's crazy. Or Scooby sees him while they're getting groceries, and the bad guys grab him and push him in a cart. And Shaggy thinks Scooby's pushing him because he's got all this watermelon on him. But a truck gets in the way, so he doesn't get hit by the moonbeam. Then they're at a drive-in, and eventually, during it, the bad guys hit the button so the top of the car cover goes down. So it could be like convertible. Moonbeam hits him, he becomes a werewolf. It goes off and on because he has the hiccups, but then eventually he is a werewolf. They have to escape because the other people in the drive-in see him. They get caught by Dracula and the henchmen, taken to Transylvania, and then after some more stuff where this is a dream, it gotta be a dream, it's not a dream, we don't want to race. Dracula, of course he's gonna lie, but he says, listen, if you do the race, and hell, if you win, I'll turn you back into a human, you guys should go home. Why they believe in Dracula, I don't know, it's just, it's the way to get the plot going. And then literally the second half of the film is the race. That thanks to Scrappy-Doo and the girlfriend in another car who could warn them what's ahead, they'll go through obstacles, they're able to overcome them. So they'll have like a spring in the car that will jump over the competition. Or the henchman will... I like this bit where they hire a spider to create a web, and the spider's like, well, yeah, 30 days warranty or 30,000 flies, whichever comes next. He's talking like someone who'd be driving a pickup truck. But the other competitors hit the spider web and fly back. The vehicle's screwing up, so Shaggy fixes the engine. There's a bit where they get put into a fake detour, and one point they're swallowed by this like mud monster, but Scrappy has some salt and pepper and puts it on the monster and he sneezes them out. All these little hiccups up and down that goes on for the rest of it. Now, again, if you like wacky races, the wacky racers, that type of stuff, it's fun. It's fun to see the monsters and their other vehicles. Like I think it's the Dragonfly. His car has like this ton that will hit a car, or one has like this big fly swatter that flips them like a pancake so it goes behind them, or they shoot stuff against each other. And then all the little obstacles that go along their way. The way Dracula is announcing it, and then he has this lady that I guess is supposed to be taken Vampira. Even her name is a taken Vampira, but she acts very ditzy. So Dracula's trying to explain something, she doesn't get it. Or I always like this: she starts the race with the gun, but then she doesn't realize she's pointing at Dracula and accidentally shoots Dracula. If you're not into that, you're not going to be into this movie. And I can see that. I can see that if you're into more of the mystery, spooky location where it's a mystery and there's a crime to solve or there's a mystery to solve, this isn't any of that. There are no mysteries. There are no looking for clues. There's none of that. Even Boo Brothers did that, but did it his own way. I mean, literally, you could put like any other characters into this plot, and I mean, it could be like Fred Flintstone, and it could be the Jetsons. It could be any characters. Yogi Bear. It becomes a werebear. Whatever the case. I do think the werewolf aspect, like Shaggy becoming a werewolf, I think there's a lot of that they could have done with, and they didn't. I mean, your main character becoming a werewolf, and how Scooby and Scrappy react to that, and how Scooby reacts to his buddy, in a way being another dog, I mean, a wolf, but, kind of maybe similarities they have, and does Scooby try to scratch Shaggy like Shaggy would scratch him because he's a dog? So would Scooby scratch Shaggy's... I mean, it seems like there could be other, like, funny moments funny stuff you could get into just for Shaggy being a werewolf. But it becomes kind of, or maybe at times Shaggy will be like a villain, and so they got run away from Shaggy, and he's got to kind of fight that off. Really, once the race starts, him being a werewolf is pretty pointless. I mean, inconsequential. Him being a werewolf when the race starts does nothing for it. If he had like certain abilities he could use nowadays, werewolf, but no, not really. He has no special abilities. He could howl. That's about it. But there's no special abilities. There's no special things he could do. There's no specific jokes told forward. It's just like literally he could have been just regular Shaggy doing the race, and really nothing would be different. So take that for what you will. And I mean, that's a little bit disappointing watching it back. That I think there's a lot of possibilities that they don't really approach any of them. But Dracula, I like the design of Dracula. I didn't mind the guy who voiced him. I like the way he said certain lines, like the way he pronounced Shaggy. Shaggy. What kind of name is Shaggy? So I like these giving shit to Shaggy's name. I do, Scrappy-Doo, he doesn't really get in the way, like in some episodes and some shows where it seems like they try to put him front and center. That's not the case in here. The music fits the film. The animation, I think, is pretty good. Like, I like the designs of the characters and their vehicles. I think there's some pretty cool designs. There are still moments that are funny, like when they arrive at Transylvania, they wake up and Shaggy's like making fun of the monsters. It's gotta be a dream, Did the puss on that chick? It's so awful, it's funny. And the Frankenstein monster's laughing at her, and she's like, "What are you laughing at?" And inadvertently makes all the monsters fight each other. And Dracula's like, "Wait a minute!" And the witches are shooting and fuck up his tape. Like the timing and build up of that, I thought was pretty funny. And all the different ways that the cars to be taken out, like the mummy's vehicle literally gets unwrapped from itself. Stuff like that. Kind of in the Batman type of way of you have something like a vehicle, what other gadgets is up its sleeve. So like Shaggy's car, a tail propeller starts and is able to fly up. Granted, anytime they use a gadget, that's the only time they use it, and they never use it again. So it's like the gadgets have one use and one use only. Once you use that, you can never use it again. Same with you have his other car, because it's a different car he races in. Because Dracula goes, well, if they use their car, they can easily win. So I'm going to use this piece of shit car they gotta drive. I think it's actually the girlfriend and Scrappy who drive the old, better car. But even the stuff they use at the beginning, like the drill or split in half, none of that's ever used again. You think, okay, that'd be a setup of what it can do, so it'll be used later on to their benefit to save their lives? No, it doesn't. So it's not that kind of movie. It's not that kind of thing. Like I said, it was cool to see all the different types of monsters. I like the design of the dragonfly insect creature. I thought that was kind of a cool design. It's not boring. It goes by at a quick pace. It's 90 minutes long. Well, okay. When the race starts, it's quick paced. I mean, the first half of the film, when it's just the two hunchback henchmen trying to hit Shaggy with the moonbeam, it drags a little bit. It's kind of there, kind of just waiting for the plot to kick in. And again, it depends how you feel about the racing mechanic. If you don't like that, then this movie's not for you. And I can perfectly understand that. Again, there's that part of me that goes, you know what? The idea of, to repeat, of turning Shaggy into a werewolf is a novel concept. I think there's a lot that you could do with that. It's also funny if this has any continuity with stuff later. When Fred or Velma are like, oh, there's no such thing as monsters, Shaggy could go, I turned into a monster. I turned into a fucking werewolf. I met Dracula and the Frankenstein monster and I had a damn race with them. Don't tell me they ain't no fucking monsters. And I met ghosts like the Boo Brothers, but yeah, it doesn't seem like continuity is really a thing with this stuff, so. Again, the girlfriend here, to be honest, I don't even know. I don't know why. I guess they had the girlfriend really just so that they had someone to kind of follow them and help guide them through the obstacles. But honestly, that could have been Scrappy and he just has some device to reach the pedals. Just Scrappy, I don't know, I could see him doing something like that. Or just have Scooby and Shaggy. Just have Scooby and Shaggy and they're driving and they gotta think on the fly. You know, they're not Velma or Fred. They're not the most intelligent people, but in this case, okay, this is what they know what to do. Have them be able to have ideas and use their wits in this vernacular, in this job, in this point, and overcome the monsters. I probably would have preferred that. Because the girlfriend and Scrappy, yeah, I don't necessarily think they were needed. Like the stuff they were doing, you could just have Scooby and Shaggy figure it out themselves. Or get out of the situations on their own. Or have a character like Daphne or someone else, or Daphne and Velma or someone else join them. And I'm not saying to be his girlfriend, I'm just saying just join them as friends. Or something like that. I do wonder why Daphne, Velma, and Fred were not in these movies. But yeah, I like that Shaggy is the lead. I like Boo Brothers. I do think that's cool. I think this some of the stuff between Dracula and the vampira girl was funny, just for how ditzy she was, and how more and more Dracula was just get completely frustrated with her. The Hunch Bunch, you know, as henchmen, there was some funny stuff. There's a bit where they're trying to stop our heroes by dropping a safe on them, and they're in a helicopter. So they're kind of 1, 2, 3, and they run into a damn mountain. So they weren't paying attention. They were too busy looking down at the car and not know that a damn mountain was coming towards them. You know, cartoon stuff of that nature was fun to see. Some of the ideas, like the final boss, however you want to put it, he brings out Genghis Khan. So it's like Team Khan, but it's Team Khan with dress a little bit like Genghis Khan. And then Dracula kind of has a slate as if he was from a movie. So I kind of like that idea, you know, the Team Khan, but if he was dressed as Genghis Khan. Like, I mean, yeah, I'd just say is, you know, a bad pun, but I liked the visual. I thought it was funny. And again, when the race was happening, it was cool to see all the, like I said, again, all the monsters, all their vehicles, all the gadgets that they had, all the gadgets Scooby and Shaggy had with their vehicle, the visual gags, the different obstacles they had to overcome. It's silly and it was goofy, but it was fun as well. But like I said at the beginning, while the Boo Brothers I still really enjoy, this one I would say I like. I don't think I would rewatch this as much in the future. Because there's that part of me that goes, yeah, him being a werewolf, They could have done a lot more with. And like it's fun that it becomes kind of this one long race, but at the same time, it was nice. It's fine that this was a one-time thing and not an ongoing thing. Because it would work one time, but not on a repeated venture, like multiple movies with this kind of premise. So it's nice that it's different. But I just see people could go, well, that's not what I watched Scooby for. I don't watch Scooby-Doo for this kind of thing. And I think Scooby-Doo and the Boo Brothers kind of made the right balance where it was different enough and refreshing enough, but still had that inkling of what you got from Scooby-Doo. Again, the creepy location, the mystery, looking for clues. But then it had its own characters, its own feel, its own vibe, its own pace. Again, Shaggy and Scooby be more the leads. Like, I think that handled it better. But I do like the Reluctant Werewolf. It's fun. But yeah, watch it. I'm like, yeah, it really is inconsequential. He's a werewolf in the second half. Other than the fact that, okay, the reason he's there is they need a werewolf in the race. So in that case, it's not. It matters. But I'm just saying, other than that, like he could have been. If it wasn't a werewolf, it could have been a damn, he turned into an alien, turned into a lizard, turned into a fucking eel, could turn into the Invisible Man, turn into whatever the case. Phantom of the fucking Opera. Like, he could have been anything. And the race still would have gone kind of the same. But, fun movie. I still do like it. Casey Kasem, Don Messick, I will always think of them as Shaggy and Scooby. Don Messick, when he passed away, Scooby never sounded the same. Which makes sense because the actor's gone. But people have tried to sound like Scooby. They try, some harder than others. None of them could get it. They all sound either too high-pitched or too... like, does Scooby's voice kind of a bit lower-pitched? Row, Scooby-Dooby-Doo. They don't get that feel, that sound, and that's why it's hard for me to watch anything Scooby nowadays. Because I'm like, it's just so off. Like Matthew Lillard, I think does a really good job as Shaggy. And I can feel the vibe from him like I would with Casey Kasem as Shaggy. So like Matthew Lillard does it great. But no one has really gotten to that Don Messick level, at least for me. But rest in peace to Don Messick and Casey Kasem. Greatly missed. And that's another joy watching this again, is to hear the voices. And I grew up with those guys. I grew up with those voices. I loved Scooby-Doo growing up. It was one of my favorite cartoon characters, Scooby and Shaggy, along with the Ninja Turtles and other stuff. Those are a big part of my childhood. So, greatly missed. Haven't watched much of Scooby stuff. I don't even know what they do nowadays with the character, if anything. Probably nothing nowadays. I did not watch that Scoob movie that came out a few years ago. I think Warner Bros. Was supposed to release a sequel, but I think they did to that what they did to that Batgirl movie. It went bye-bye. Bailed on it. I never saw the show Velma, which I'm surprised. I was never requested Velma. Never requested the show. I'm surprised, but I guess I should count my lucky stars on that. But I'm a bit surprised. Yeah. I know those Scooby-Doo Where Are You? They were released on DVD, maybe even on Blu-ray. I kind of wish some of the other shows, like the Scooby-Doo show and the Scooby and Scrappy shows, that they were more inconsistent box sets, so it was easier to pick them up and have a collection of them. But anyway, be nice to revisit those one day. Although there's a lot of different shows in the 70s to 80s. Because there's the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, where they were with Vincent Price. There was the Scooby and Scrappy show, where it was Shaggy, Scooby, Scrappy, and Daphne. And then before that, there was just the Scooby and Scrappy show, and again, there's a lot. But again, nice to watch this again. Brought back fond memories watching this when I was a kid, and nice to go back down that nostalgia train, and this nostalgia trail, and walk it at least one more time. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye for now.